We're back at it with another set of starting positions, and this time we're pretty much looking at the High Elves and the Bretonnians, and we'll just be taking a look at the map as we've been doing, kind of discuss what those starting locations are. I have the Twitter page up on the other side of the screen so I can take a look at what the actual names of those locations are, and we're just going to go through that as we've been doing right now. And the High Elf stuff is kind of as to be expected. There's not too many wild cards in there, except for, well, there's two. We'll talk about them. So first, we have Tyrion and Alarielle over here in Uthwan. We have Gain Vale here for Alarielle and Tyrion over here in Lothern. So to be expected with both of those starting locations. We expected to have an Uthwan presence, and it's nice that we also don't have Eltharion over in... well, that's actually interesting. On the page, he's got Tor Ibris, so he probably has his double start positions. I was going to say, it looks like he's not going to have his start position up here. So yeah, look, he'll have his double start position in both the Southern Badlands over here, as well as Tor Ibris. Because I was going to say, it's pretty cool to see that we won't see Eltharion here, kind of giving Nakari a chance to expand southward a little bit easier. But that's not the case, so it's going to be pretty cramped up in Ulthuan with Nakari up there, kind of ravaging through Nagarath Trace and having a pretty quick solid access to the Sword of Cain. Alarielle herself having kind of a one-shot into there as well. But the big one to the north is kind of a very interesting one with Elephanar starting at Karendkar. Now, he started typically south of that, right? And he had kind of free access to that location. But he's starting in the slaver city of Karendkar, which is kind of interesting. I know a number of other channels have kind of commented on that being, that's kind of a wild start position. You know, with Elephanar, it's like, you know, does he start at Nagarath, where he is, from a lore perspective, always seen as this defender of Nagarath, and how every time there's a massive incursion of Dark Elves into Nagarath, he's there, and he's there to kind of deter them and fight against them and kill them. And it makes me wonder what other starting locations are going to be around the Obsidian Peaks, the Clawed Coast, the Granite Hills, the Black Flood, the Doom Glades, the Witchwood. Well, we know it's in the Witchwood, right? It's probably going to be Wood Elves. It just kind of makes me wonder how dense this is going to be, that he couldn't have started in the Claw Coast or wherever he would have started, just not in Karendkar. And on that same measure, you know, he's not necessarily a character that you would see in any other location other than a place fighting Dark Elves or a place defending his High Elf lands in Nagarath. So it's kind of an interesting kind of catch-22 with him, where wherever you put him, he's going to feel weirdly out of place unless he's Nagarath, and he's Nagarath. That's just a shitty whirlwind, right? He's going to be right up against Alarielle in kind of a not fun way. At least with Tyrion and Alarielle, they have whole different portions of Ulthuan to go into. But nonetheless, we'll see how that kind of plays itself out and how the rest of this map fills out. I'm sure with the Obsidian Peaks, we're going to get Beastmen, right? We're going to have Dark Elves starting up here in this location. The Witchwood, I mean, all three of these locations, right? Obsidian Peaks, Black Flood, Spiteful Peaks, Ironfoot Hills, and Deadwood and Road of Skulls. All this location is going to be all Dark Elfed out. So, be interesting to see how this fleshes itself out with the Legendary Lords. I expect to see Tarox still over in this location, the Tomb Kings over here, Iron Sand Desert, Red Desert area, and kind of just how that will shake itself out. Now, in the very far Southlands, we get Teclis moved. He is now at Sotek's Trail, putting him in a very interesting spot. He's in that direct opposition here, in between Krokgar, which could act as an ally for him if he kind of plays his cards right, or he's going to be in direct opposition here with Tzeentch. So Kairos Hateweaver just right over there in Dawn's Landing, and he'll probably have some High Elves around that he can take advantage of. So interesting to see him kind of placed all around. And he was at what? Wasn't he in like the Shark Straits or the Volcanic Islands? No, Volcanic Islands was the Skaven. He was displaced into Mortal Empires, right? And on the Vortex campaign, he started all the way over here in the Turtle Islands. So he's kind of had a wild bouncing around the map, and it's interesting to see him all the way down here. I thought it could have been fun even over in this location to try and get some different High Elf placement into the Darklands, but we get that here with Imric, who is at Tor's Thigh. taking back his location that he had in Immortal Empires, being right on the other edge of the World's Edge Mountains. And I think this is a pretty cool, fun starting location for him. I think it's going to be a great location for him to expand north into whatever possible location the Chaos Dwarfs will be into. He might expand east into any kind of possible alliance with the Ogre Kingdoms and eventually Cathay. He does obviously have direct opposition to in the Dragon Isles with Nurgle, and he's pretty hot on the heels of both Tomb Kings over here on the west. Skaven probably going to be north and west of him as well, and we also have Skarbrand just southwest of him there at the Devil's Backbone Barrier Idols. So a very fun location for Imric, and I think of all of the lords for the High Elves, I think it's going to be very fun to see, to play as Imric and just kind of see what you can do with that location. I think until the Chaos Dwarfs get placed into the land, I think you're going to see the same issue in the Darklands that you saw with Boris Ursus. Without any kind of real direct opposition, it's kind of easy to snowball in this area. So I'm hoping they fill it with other legendary lords. Again, Tretch Craventail, expect him to be over in this direction now. Having fun with just the placement of lords in the Darklands to kind of vary things up so it isn't just a snowball alley until we get that placement of those Chaos Dwarfs. Let's switch over here now to Brittonia. Let's press this button, and there we go. We now have Brittonia on the map, and there is a bit of a hiccup in the Twitter. Let me make sure I get the right. Yeah, okay. I gotta make sure I have the right thing. So no, Alberic de Bordaloo is no longer in Bordaloo. So let's go down this list. We have Loan Leoncoeur at Coron, as to be expected, all the way at the north tip here. Should be pretty interesting to see how this kind of plays out too here for him. But I think for the most part, he'll have very much the same kind of placement until we get more DLC in locations like Albion. Like if Bellacor starts in Albion, that would make a lot of sense. Why? Because that is the whole premise of the something over the darkness over Albion. The supplement that basically deals with a war in Albion, where all the factions come to contest it, and Bellacor is the one pulling the strings, until, of course, Archaon starts to become the next Everchosen, and he is pulled to his mandatory task of guiding the Everchosen to his next artifacts. So I could see Bellacor starting in Albion and having a really poignant location as a means to strike south into Brittonia or north into Norska, and as a result there, having Loan Leoncoeur right there as that bastion against him could be pretty fun if they indeed do place a Bellacor on the map as a solo lord. And I think we saw on the last blog post, I said that that's what's going to happen. Let me bring it up on the other screen over here, because I'm a dumb person. Yeah, up next we're going to inside look at Bellacor and the other new dedicated factions coming to Immortal Empires. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how that really shakes itself out for Bellacor's placement, if he is indeed in Albion, which would make sense for, like I said, the supplement that was done years and years ago. It's where we get all the fun stuff like the Bog Fens, the Soothsayers, the Dark Soothsayer, something like that. All the fun stuff. But into the rest of Brittonia, we have Alberic, who is no longer in Bordaloo. He is down south here in the Southlands at Bragon. Not Southlands, I'm sorry, in Lustria by the Pirate Swamps. So this will be pretty wild, because I expect Luther Harkin to be really up against that, but putting in a lot of pressure here from the Jungle of Webs. We already have Gorok right there, and we have an alliance there for Brittonia with the Empire right there in the Creeping Jungle, and we'll have plenty of other factions, right? Just Skaven and Skaven, we know we get Pestilence down here, and also what's it called over here, the Volcanic Islands, but generic greenskin faction, that's what I was trying to say. The Blue Vipers, I think it is, over in this location. Outside of that, though, we get the Fae Enchantress and Carcassonne kind of dominating the southern portion of Brittonia, as she has a ton of stuff in Tilia Estalia to border up with, to ally with, including the Border Princes. The vaults will probably expect, of course, to be filled with dwarfs, and the Southern Grey Mountains we expect, of course, to be having some goblin action in there. Then, of course, all the Wood Elves in the Forest of Chalon, and all the many little Talcion and all the other distinctions here in the Wood Elf territory, which has gotten a little bit of a breakup in that location. And then we have Reponse de Lyonesse at Coffer up here in Araby, the northwestern portion of the Southlands. And again, a great location for her. The Great Desert of Araby and the Crackland. I don't expect us to see Deathmatcher Snitch over here. I expect to see him still over in Cathay like he was in the Chaos Realms. I do expect, though, to see Tomb Kings over here, Ark in the Black, and the Land of Assassins, our Great Desert of Araby, and having that kind of direct opposition here with Rapunce Leoness. So, a pretty fun shake up for the whole map, kind of showing us where Brittonia goes. Next, or tomorrow, and this is going to air the day that Cathay goes out. I'm making it on a Sunday, it's coming out on a Monday. So Cathay's starting locations will be revealed tomorrow. I would be surprised if they're anything other than Gunpowder Road, Warpstone Desert, Celestial River Lands, Wastelands of Jinshan, pretty much this whole western portion of Cathay. I think that future Cathay and DLC will bring us either into different locations outside of Cathay for those legendary lords, or the eastern and southern portions of Cathay for those starting locations. So I was going to wait and just do this tomorrow and post it up tomorrow, but I figured it's Cathay. We probably know exactly where they're going to be, and they're probably just going to be right inside of Cathay. I would be very surprised if they were anywhere other than Cathay. But go ahead and let me know what you're feeling here. And as far as, I guess, poll question for the video goes, what faction are you going to be playing first in Immortal Empires? I know personally it's probably going to be Eltharion for me, or Emmerich. So I'd love to hear what you guys are going to be playing when Immortal Empires comes out. The beta comes out in August. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.